The Ghosts of Flight 401 is a famous aviation ghost story that has been widely circulated for decades. The story began on December 29, 1972, when Eastern Airlines Flight 401 crashed into the Florida Everglades, killing 101 people. The flight was en route to Miami from New York City when the tragedy struck. The cause of the crash was later attributed to a malfunctioning landing gear indicator light, which led the crew to believe that the landing gear was not properly deployed. As the pilots focused on trying to solve the problem, they failed to notice that the autopilot had been disengaged, causing the aircraft to gradually descend until it crashed into the swamp below. Following the crash, Eastern Airlines implemented a salvage operation to recover as much of the wreckage as possible. In an effort to save money, the company decided to reuse many of the undamaged parts salvaged from the wreckage, including the cockpit voice recorder, flight data recorder, and other components. It wasn't long after the wreckage was salvaged that strange reports began to emerge from passengers and crew members who had flown on other Eastern Airlines aircraft. They claimed to have seen the ghostly apparitions of the flight crew who had perished in the Flight 401 crash. Some passengers reported seeing the ghost of Captain Bob Loft sitting in their seat or standing in the aisle, while others claimed to have seen flight engineer Don Repo in the cockpit or in the lavatory. The reports were so numerous and consistent that Eastern Airlines was forced to conduct an investigation into the matter. The company hired paranormal investigators and psychics to look into the claims, but they were unable to find any evidence of paranormal activity. However, the reports continued, and Eastern Airlines eventually decided to remove all of the salvaged parts from its aircraft. According to the legend, the ghosts of the Flight 401 crew had somehow become attached to the aircraft parts, and their presence was causing the sightings and other strange occurrences. Despite the removal of the salvaged parts, reports of ghostly sightings continued to persist. Some flight attendants claimed to have seen the ghost of Captain Loft sitting in the jump seat or helping with cabin service, while others reported seeing Don Repo's ghost in the cabin, checking the engines or doing other maintenance tasks. Over time, the story of the ghosts of Flight 401 became increasingly popular, and numerous books, articles, and documentaries were produced about the haunting. Many of these accounts include first-hand reports from passengers and crew members who claim to have witnessed the ghostly apparitions. However, skeptics have dismissed the story as a mere urban legend or a case of mass hysteria. They argue that the reports of ghost sightings are simply the result of suggestibility or overactive imaginations. Regardless of the truth behind the story, the legend of the ghosts of Flight 401 continues to fascinate and intrigue people to this day. It has become a part of aviation lore and is often cited as one of the most famous ghost stories in the history of aviation.